Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It seems that yesterday's holiday really put us in a prolonged holiday mood. So please let us wake up out of that holiday mood. Today there is work, so we can resume to the holiday mood tomorrow, and on Sunday. And then by Sunday evening, we resume back to work mode. All right, so please, let's occupy the first 1, 2, 3 rows. Please, let's all be on the first 1, 2, 3 rows. Nobody should be behind the first 3 rows. All right. I'm going to repeat this announcement at the end of the program. And but before I do that, let me again welcome, the MC will do that. Welcome our acting provost and our lecturer for today. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, ma. Please, I'm going to make this announcement at the end of it all. There is this saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. So if the management of the college have deemed it, I know, he will start off, have deemed it necessary to organize this kind of training for us every month, then we should also raise the standard in the college. And I'm going to make a proposal to management that if we see members of staff who are unable to present 50% evidence of participation by their certificates, then we need to look at the appraisal. We will take a second look at the appraisal. I hope you understand what I said. It simply means that for your certificates to carry any weight, we will ensure during promotion that you have 50% evidence of participation. And we will also ensure that those who come late do not get the certificate. You know, some people should not listen to the lectures, and then some will just stroll in just to collect the certificate. That is very, very unfair. It's not about certificates, it's about building capacity. So, and we will begin to enforce that from today. So, let's start off. Welcome again, everybody.
Please, let's rise up for the anthems, national anthem, university anthem, and the college anthem. PCC.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to
Please take our seats. I want to welcome every one of us here present. I want to welcome every one of us here present this morning to another edition in a series of the monthly workshop for well-informed staff of the College of Medicine. You will agree with me that we have been adding it very good in the college under this present administration since the inception of this training series. Please, I want us all this morning in appreciation to give a round of applause to the management of the College of Medicine. Please, let's do that very well. We have done very well. Thank you very much for that. I want to welcome dignitaries on the high table, beginning with our provost, who is unavoidably absent this morning, but ably represented by our deputy provost, Professor S.B. Olaolorun. You are welcome, sir. Please, a better round of applause for our deputy provost. Thank you for that. Next person I want to recognize is the secretary to the college, our own #1 administrative staff in the College of Medicine. And it is no other person than Mr. A.E. Odedele. You are welcome, sir. Thank you for appreciating him. Next in line is the financial controller, Mr. Eso Ayoshino, who is going to be represented very soon. I'm sure the representative is on the way. Then we have the medical librarian, also seated there, Dr. Grace Ajinwo. You are welcome, man. Thank you for coming, man. Then we have deans, and I can see our amiable dean, the dean of the Faculty of Clinical Sciences, Professor T.A. Lawa. You are welcome, sir. As other deans come in, we'll recognize them, and HODs and heads of units. So I want to hand over the microphone now to my co-MC, Mrs. Enobabo.
Thank you, sir, the faculty officer of the first faculty in the College of Medicine, Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences. Once again, I want to say good morning. I don't know if... not to waste so much of our time, I want to invite our provost, who is ably represented this morning by the Deputy Provost, Professor S.B. Olaolorun, for his welcome address.
Thank you very much. I lean on the existing protocols that have been observed, and I want to again appreciate the Secretary to the College for continuing in this series of programs to make us not just better administrators or better lecturers, but also to have a good grip in our homes. And it is on this basis that I want to appreciate our guest lecturer and facilitator today, Dr. Funmilola Olaolorun. We appreciate you, ma. You will agree with me that the series of lectures, workshops that we have been having is to enhance our capacity or capability in our workplace, and also, like this one, in our homes. It is one thing for you to come to work and do your work effectively. It is another thing to be happy. That effective aspect of coming to work will not be achieved if you are not happy in terms of finances. And many people, they lose a lot when they do not apply basic tenets of financial discipline. And that is the reason why talks like this, teachings like this will help us a lot. I know we are all adults, we are all mothers and fathers in our various homes, but there is no time in the life of somebody that you don't learn something. And I believe that today we are going to learn, and what we learn today, we're going to use it even in making progress in our family organization. I appreciate all of you who have come. Just like the secretary to the college said, it is expected that workshops and trainings like this will be taken seriously by members of the college because we organize it for you. And I pray that God will continue to give us strength to be attending this kind of program. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Another round of applause for the acting provost. Our resource person today, I know the provost has already spoken a little about her. Dr. Funmilola Olaolorun. You're actually namesake, ma. So that from today when I come to meet you, know that your namesake is coming. She's from Department of Community Medicine. And she's also the chairman of the Committee on Internationalization of the college. Today she will be talking to us about financial literacy. You know, we put 101 so that you know that we are starting from the beginning. Household budgeting. You are wondering why you have papers in your hand. I'm sure so that everybody, you put something down. You don't know what will happen at the end of the lecture. So if we give you a test or you are quizzed, if you don't pass, no certificate. So make sure that our ears are not just playing this morning. Let's make sure we get something down. So I want to invite the presenter of today, Dr. Olaolorun. A big round of applause, please.
The Provost College of Medicine, ably represented by the Deputy Provost, Secretary College of Medicine, Medical Librarian, Professor Lawal, Dean Clinical Sciences, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I hope that even though this may be very simple for many people, that you will have something to take away. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm no expert in financial matters. I just want to share what I have learned from one of the research projects that I've worked on. And I hope that this learning, or these set of learnings, will be useful for you as well. And so the reason you have the 3 sheets of paper is because we will have 3 quick activities. And I hope that in the process of going through these activities, you'll have some important lessons to take away. So I'll be talking about financial literacy. It's called 101 because it's very, very basic. But we'd like to talk about household budgeting, and I'll be sharing some of the things we learned from the Women Working with Partners project that was conducted here in the College of Medicine and ended in 2020, but the lessons are still very fresh. I'll start with a few definitions. Financial literacy involves understanding and effectively applying various financial skills such as budgeting, investing, and managing personal finances. We'll talk about budgeting and managing personal finances, but we'll not be able to talk about investing today because investing was not part of the project, but it's important that I mention this in passing. A budget is an estimate of income and expenditure for a defined period. This could be a month, it could be a quarter, it could be a year. There are a few key learning points that I hope that you'll take away from today's session. First of all, households need to consider their expenses very carefully. 2, you need to spend money on household needs first before you spend money on your wants. And this is important, and I'll explain what I mean by needs and wants. And then you must save for the rainy day, and we'll talk about savings as well. A simple household budget can help you manage your finances. And lastly, the last point is in gray because I do not intend to talk about it today, just to mention it in passing, that you should look into low-risk investment opportunities to improve your household income. So the study was called Women Working with Partners, and it was conducted here in Ibadan in 48 different communities across 4 local government areas: Akinyele, Ibadan North, Oluyole, Ibadan Southwest. We recruited 1,236 couples, and the women were ages 18 to 35 years of age, and they had to bring their partner along to be eligible for the study. This is just a very brief overview of the design. I'll make it as simple as possible. We had 4 different arms in the study. It was what we call a cluster randomized controlled trial. And there were 4 arms. 3 of these arms were intervention arms, and 1 was the control arm. So here in the first panel, you see the gender training. The intervention was a training intervention. The first arm received gender socialization training, which means we talked to them about how boys are raised to become men, how girls are raised to become women, how household decisions are made, and how husbands and wives should communicate and relate with one another. And we also told them about conflict management within the home. The second arm of the intervention was for those who received training on gender socialization and financial literacy. The financial literacy piece is what you will get a glimpse of today. We talked about budgeting, we talked about saving, we talked about how to create a household budget. We talked about needs and wants, we talked about the in and out tree, and you'll have an opportunity to do this today. The third arm received both of those interventions, as well as family planning, counseling, and services. And for the poorest 20% of this third intervention arm, we gave them family planning vouchers, which meant, for the purposes of our study, that if they wanted any family planning method, the project would pay for it, including their transportation to get there. And then the fourth arm was the control arm. They received nothing up front. Although when the program was over, we did go back to give them a very brief training intervention that covered all of these topics. So the innovation in this project was that we were focusing on couples, and we were trying to create a supportive environment within the family, targeting both partners of the couple, but also the couple together, because we wanted them to be able to build their capacity and also transfer this information to other couples. So I'll be sharing a flash peek of the results, just very brief, only what is relevant for the activities that we will work on today. 45% of those that we interviewed at baseline said they were confident in their ability to manage their finances. That's less than half. That's every other person felt confidence in their ability to manage their finances. 49% of men said this, and 42% of women. So obviously men were more confident in their ability to manage their finances compared with women. Another flash from the findings was that we asked them about whether or not they kept records regarding their income and expenditure. And at baseline, for those who received the gender socialization and financial literacy training, 31% of them said they kept a record of their income and expenditure. For those who received all three interventions, 30% said they kept a record. And in the control group, 25% said they kept a record. So after the intervention, we asked them again whether they kept records of income and expenditure. And the proportion had increased to 51% among those who received gender socialization and financial literacy training, and to 46% among those who received all three interventions. For the control group, it increased as well, but not as much as those who received the intervention, which tells us there are other ways of learning about financial literacy in the community and the environment beyond the intervention that we presented. So just to share two quotes with you, one of them is from Warren Buffett, and he said, "Do not save what is left after spending. Instead, spend what is left after saving." And I want you to think about this for a minute. You should spend what you have after you have saved some money, not that you save the leftovers. Very important words. And then one of the participants in our male focus group discussion said, "A penny you save today is your 1,000 of tomorrow." And I thought this was really very important to serve as a foundation for the activities that we will do today. So the first activity, please take your first sheet of paper, is the in and out tree. And you're going to draw a tree. And I have a sample here. So the roots of the tree will show the different sources of income that you have in your household. Remember, this is your household, not just you. So if you earn a salary and your partner or your husband or wife earns a salary, those will be two different roots. Now, the size of the roots matters. The fatter the income, the bigger the root. All right? So if you have four sources of income in your household, there will be 4 roots. If you have 1 source of income in your household, there will be 1 root. So please draw your root. Then your branches are how you spend money. You spend money on food, on clothing, on rent, on entertainment. Those will be the out portion of the tree. And then you can decide what time frame you want to have in mind. Are you thinking about 1 month? Are you thinking about a quarter? Or are you thinking about a year or 6 months? Whatever time frame you want to have, you need to be consistent with this time frame across the 3 activities that we will have. So I'd like to give you a couple of minutes to draw your tree. Remember, this is called the in and out tree. The roots are your sources of income. That's the in. The branches are what you spend money on. That's the out. So think about your household. Think about the sources of income that your household has and what you spend money on. And please draw your in and out tree. And hold on to this. I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. Don't feel bad if you don't finish in the 2 minutes. You can always go back and finish up after today's session. It's a 30-minute talk, so I need to go very fast. Your roots are your sources of income. The branches of the tree are what you spend money on. We're not focusing on the trunk, but please include a trunk. Roots, sources of income, branches, what you spend money on. And remember to have a time frame in mind, either a month or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or 1 year, whatever time frame you're interested in, but please ensure to maintain this time frame across the 3 activities that we will do today. How many people have drawn their tree? Very good. At least a quarter of the audience, so we'll move on. If you haven't finished your tree, please make sure you go back to it after today's session. In and out tree. All right, the second activity has to do with needs and wants. We all have needs. These are expenses that are necessary for our survival. You and I cannot do without food. You can fast maybe for 40 days, but after that you still need food. You can fast for 3 days, after that you still need food. We all need food, we all need water. Those are necessary for our survival. These are our needs. So think about your needs. What are your needs? Food, water, shelter, clothing. What else? I don't want to go into the Maslow's hierarchy of needs because of time, but ask yourself, what are your needs? Please write these down and list them as your needs. And then we all have wants. Wants are expenses for things that are nice to have, but they're not necessary for our survival. You can do without that bottle of Coke. You can do without that Maltina. You can do without that holiday if you can't afford it. What are your wants? Please write these down as well. Write your needs, write your wants. And I want you to mentally think about this. What do you need for your survival? What is just nice to have or good to have that is not must have? Again, I'll give you a minute or two to think about that, your needs and your wants. We're building up toward working on your household budget. So these activities are stepwise in order for you to understand what goes into your budget and why it's important for you. So you have your in and out tree, and you have your needs and wants, and you will need them for the third activity. So the third activity is creating your own household budget. Again, think about a timeline, either a month or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or 12 months. Think about a time frame, the same time frame you have been working with for the previous activities. So for your household budget, you need information on the sources of income, and you're going to total that up. You also need information on your expenses, and you need to be able to differentiate between your needs and wants. So in a household budget, your needs should come at the top, where your wants come after that. And then you need to look at the difference between your income and expenditure after you've added the two columns. What are you learning about your household, and what actions do you need to take? And I hope by the time you finish this activity, the power of writing things down will be evident. You know, if you just collect your salary and you spend money, you find out many times that by the middle of the month, you're broke. But if you have a budget, you know how much to spend on what items, because you and your partner and maybe older children who are bringing money into the household have sat down to draw a budget. It helps you to be more prudent with your expenses. It helps you to know what to spend money on and what to wait to spend money on. So this is a sample for a family of 4 parents, mother and father, and 2 young children. This is their monthly income on the left. The husband earns 100,000 naira. As we're going through this, you can be working on yours. The wife earns 70,000 naira. The wife has a shop and she sells clothing, and she earns an extra 25,000 every month from her shop. The husband, in the evenings and on weekends, drives Uber or Bolt, and so earns an extra 60,000. So this household has a total of 255,000 naira coming in every month. All right, remember, it's a family of 4, mother, father, 2 children. Okay, so what do they spend money on? Remember, for the income, we've done our in and out tree. This means that this family would have how many roots? 4 roots, good. All right, so they have 4 roots in the in and out tree. Now for the expenditure, they spend money on food, 70,000 every month. They spend money on rent, 30,000 every month. They spend money on transportation, 60,000 every month. They spend money on school fees, 35,000 every month. They spend money on electricity, water, their phones, etc., 15,000 a month, toiletries and household supplies, 5,000 naira a month. And then the woman also goes to the hair salon, she visits family and friends, and spends 10,000 a month on this. The man drinks alcohol, spends money on other forms of entertainment, spends 15,000 a month. And so this household spends 240,000 a month. All right? How much do they have for savings? 15,000. All right. So now I want you to do your own. Just draw two columns like this. You have your income in naira, your expenses in naira. Get a total for each column and look at the difference. And I want you to think about that difference. If you'll be truthful, I'm sure that there will be people with a negative balance. I'm not asking you to raise hands. I'm just making a statement of fact. How many people have ever created a household budget? Can I see by a show of hands? If you've ever created a household budget, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, about 10 people. Okay, good. I hope after today, many more will do this. So please create your household budget. Put your household name at the top, the month and year, your income and your expenses, and get a total at the bottom. I'm sure you all have your phones. Use your calculator. Don't try to do mental math. 2 minutes to create your budget, your household budget. It definitely takes much more than this, but this is for you to have hands-on experience while we're together. I'm hoping that the large majority of you will go back and try to do these exercises in full and learn a few things about yourself and your household from them. How many people have drawn their budget? Remember, you're drawing information from activity 1 and activity 2, so it should be pretty easy and quick. And if you look at this example, you'll see that I put the needs on top. So always think about your needs before you think about your wants. You can do without entertainment. You can do without that ashwebi, right? You can do without those extra bottles of alcohol or Maltina or Coke. Focus on your needs when times are hard. And then you can think about your wants. Has anyone finished with their budget? One person? Does anyone need clarity on the exercise before we move forward? I hope the instructions are clear. Yes? Okay. So I want you to look at the difference between your income and your expenses. What is this telling you about your household? And what actions do you need to take? Do you need to look for additional sources of income? Yes. Do you need to reduce your expenditure? Yes. And I'm sure you can see where you need to reduce your expenditure. All those extra outfits, extra pairs of shoes, extra jewelry, extra caps. So think carefully about your needs and wants, and prioritize your needs at all times. But I also want you to remember the words of Warren Buffett. Your savings should come first, and we'll return to this point again. So what are the benefits of making a household budget? First of all, it makes your financial situation crystal clear. Perhaps you've never really thought about it before. You just collect your salary and live from month to month. But when you write things down, it makes the obvious more glaring. It makes your financial situation crystal clear to you and your partner. And I recommend that you go back home and do this with your partner if you're married. It also encourages communication. There's no way you can work on this budget and not have some form of communication with your spouse, some negotiation. Perhaps we can reduce spending here. Perhaps you can take on this extra activity to bring income to the family. Perhaps you can do this. Perhaps you can do that. You can communicate with one another to improve your household finances. And a budget is an excellent tool to do this. It also helps to provide a guide, a roadmap for spending within your earnings. You suddenly realize you don't have more than 200,000 naira a month to spend, but you've been spending about 300,000 naira a month, which means you've been getting things on credit. Is that how you want to live your life? Do you want to make changes? A household budget is an excellent tool for you to ask yourself these very important questions and to take action. Another benefit of making a household budget is that it's very flexible as your lifestyle changes. If you earn more money, you can save more or you can spend more. The choice is yours. I'd like to introduce the concept of the 50-30-20 rule. And going back to the words of Warren Buffett, your savings should come first. Look at your total income. 20% should be put aside for savings before you spend anything. Now, these savings, you can put the money together to eventually build your house brick by brick. You can use the money to buy a car. You can use the money for higher education, for yourself or for your children, and you can use it for debt payment. And I'd just like to briefly share one couple's testimony. There was a particular couple in our study who at the end line during the qualitative study, the qualitative part of the study, told us that the wife had been drinking 4 bottles of Coke every day. And that when she attended the workshop, she decided to stop her Coke. She first reduced to 3 and then to 2, and by the time we had finished, she had stopped drinking Coke. And she proudly brought her piggy bank to show all the money she had saved from not drinking 4 bottles of Coke a day. All right? And then the husband also told us that it was at the beginning of the training. It lasted 4 weeks for financial literacy. It was at the beginning of the training that he decided to start saving. And at the time we were having the end line, we had had the training, and then we saw them 6 months later. He told us that he had used his savings to buy a plot of land. He had not bothered about savings before. He had never thought about his finances. He just spent money every month as it came in. But then when he made a conscious effort to save, within the 4 weeks of the training and the 6 months post-intervention interview, he had saved enough money to buy a plot of land. So your savings can be used for whatever you want to do, big projects that your household wants to take on. And then after you have removed 20% of your earnings as savings, then you can spend 50% on needs. We've said needs are things that are essential for your survival. Food, rent, transportation, debt repayment is important too, or somebody will come after your neck. All right? So that's 70%. The remaining 30% you can then spend on your wants, eating out, entertainment, subscriptions for DSTV, GoTV, airtime, data, everything else that is not essential for your survival. So what are the benefits of this 50-30-20 rule? It helps you with better financial decision making. As you can imagine, if you first put aside your savings, then it will be better for you to understand the difference between needs and wants, because 20% is already gone and put aside in a bank account. If you can afford to fix it for a period of time, even better, because then you'll have interest. And then the 50-30-20 rule also helps you to reduce overspending. You critically look at your expenses and decide where you're spending too much and where you can afford to cut your expenses. It also helps for a clear, thoughtful differentiation between your needs and your wants. What is it that I need? What must I have for survival? And that will differ for everybody. In Nigeria, we really value education. So I would even put education under needs because it's very important, whether it's the education of your children or it's further education for yourself to climb your career ladder. And then again, it's flexible and adaptable to your life stage. When you're a young married couple with young children, the 50-30-20 rule would look different than when your children are grown and out of the household. Also, when you get a big bonus or a promotion and more money, it would look different. But your 20% savings should come first, because then that adds up for the capital projects that your family wants to take on. All right, so to revisit our key learning points, 1, households need to consider their expenses very carefully. I hope I've made that clear. 2, you need to spend money on your household needs first and then your wants. And again, your needs are those things that are essential for your survival. Your wants are everything else. 3, you must save for the rainy day. Your savings first, and then you can spend what is left over, not the other way around. And then 4, a simple household budget is an excellent tool to help you to manage your finances. And again, just a reminder that you should look into low-risk investment opportunities. This was not part of the project, and this is not part of our conversation today, but I thought I should throw it out there for you to think about. Thank you for your kind attention.
Please, another round of applause for the presenter of today. Thank you so much, Ma, for that. Although, well, from my own experience, most of us are not new to this. It's just that you do it, you don't know that you're actually doing household budgeting. And, you know, I was discussing with somebody right there. I said, even when we do it, most of us, just as you asked, and the answer is almost always negative. So a lot of people just decide that, well, if I do it today, negative, next, let's just spend and at least let's save first. At least some people have learned to save first, and then whatever is left, so we don't need budget. Am I speaking the mind of most people? All right. Once again, we want to appreciate you, Ma. At least you have given us a clue what to do or how to, the way forward. And right now is time for questions and answers. I'm sure people have questions. I am so sure that people will have questions. So I expected that some people that put down their questions on papers, or do we have people who want to actually stand up to ask questions right now? Anyone? Please, if you don't want to get up, please put them in writing, and let's have them as fast as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, my co-MC. Yes, ma'am. We already have people that want to ask questions, but before they ask, I want to use this opportunity, because I'm holding onto the microphone now, to say this. Please, for our women, sorry, I'm not against women, no. What me have discovered is that women's income is their own, but the men's income is for the family. Am I right or right? Am I right or right? There is only one option, right? Right or right. You cannot choose any other one. Thank you for that. Our first question. Sorry, before we continue, before the questions come up, like I said at the beginning of the program, that we will recognize our deans and other dignitaries as they come in. And as the guest lecturer, the resource person was speaking, was training us, our deans, 2 of them came in, and I can see also the representative of another dean. Am I right, ma'am? Yes. So I want to introduce the first dean, I mean the dean of the first faculty in the College of Medicine, Professor Olaolorun A. Odunola. Please, a round of applause. She's my dean. Please help me appreciate her. Thank you. I welcome her. Then the dean of the Faculty of Dentistry, Professor Kolude. You are welcome, sir. You are very welcome. Then the representatives of the dean of the Faculty of Nursing. Sorry, man. Dr. Chizoba Indiko. You are welcome, man. A round of applause for her. So we have our dignity set. We now go to the questions, man. Your question, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Funmilola. The question and comment. Let me start from on a lighter mood. The income for the household, the woman's income is for the household, and the man's income is for himself.
Do you agree?
The woman manages the home. We appreciate our men, they are our fathers. If they give us 1 million, we appreciate them. But we are the one at home. And we need to move here, move there, block this, block that. So we are the one actually managing the home.
A round of applause.
Looking at the African setting, where do we put spendings on, how do I put it, family, extended families, hospitality spending? They are more, especially when you are a government worker or a professor. Everyone believes you are there. So the family runs to you, they run to you in the church, they run to you at work. So where do we put that in the budget? Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that question, ma'am. Okay. And our secretary to the college has a question.
Thank you very much. I want to start by appreciating Dr. Olaolorun for that very, very wonderful presentation. It really goes to the root of conflicts in many homes. And of course, I've learned a lot from that presentation. Now, let me continue with where the Dean of Basic Medical Sciences stopped. There is a research that actually showed that women tend to spend more of their earning in the home than men. But just like my brother said, women, in Yoruba land, they say, "Ilekun obìnrin, mu wa lo ma n dun ko n dun gba." No, I didn't say that. That's what the elders have said. I just echoed what the elders have said. But then my question is this. How in developing this budget, I realize there's need for a high level of flexibility, especially considering the fact that for most families, you are on negative budgeting, and the possibility of firstly deducting, even if you deduct the 20% savings, and then you realize that you're on deficit budgeting, that savings, you just bring it back, You are the one that, they will say, "Tabale go eni ujo, abade ni ko jomo, ko jomo na niyen." So I just want you to educate us, how to go about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other question? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma, for the presentation. I want to appreciate the provost and the members of the management team for organizing this monthly program. Thank you so much. So my question is, I want to ask about this low-risk investments. So that whether you can give us some examples, because I noticed that we save, but at the end of the day, maybe when children are going back to school and when needs come, some people need, like Prof talked about extended family, you find yourself going back to that savings to meet your needs. And then, but I observe that like the money we save in cooperative, the one that the pension fund, when they bring it, the thing keeps growing. I say, how is it possible that I can even save like this on my own? But when we save, we go back to that savings since we're in control of it. So what other low-risk investments can we make that we can still be in control of? Because these ones I'm talking about, it's not easy to assess them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma, for the question. Any other person before we give to the resource person to answer? All right, Ma. Over to you, Ma. Sorry, Ma. Before you answer the questions, our participants online, our online participants, you also can drop your questions online. We'll take them. We'll take them here. Please drop your questions online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for listening carefully. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. So with respect to the extended family, where does this belong in your budget? This is something that a couple needs to sit down to decide together. Remember, we said that one of the benefits of household budgeting is that it encourages couple communication. And so the couple needs to decide which ones are most important. You can have a line item under your expenditure called extended family. And then you can prioritize those that you consider to be very important. In other words, that you would see as a need. Supporting your parents, I would see as a need. That's me. You can decide what's important for you. And then everybody else, I would see as a want. Perhaps you just tell them times are hard and have a fixed amount that you will give people. And once you reach the upper limit of that budget, you just close your eyes and apologize and say maybe some other time. Of course, you understand your family better than I do, and I understand my family better than you do. And so this is something that a couple needs to decide together. And for them to be extended family, they must be related to either the husband or the wife. And if the husband and wife are speaking with one voice, then it doesn't matter what other people say. So this is a decision between the couple and a decision they have to agree on so that they can cover for each other. That's my own perspective, my personal perspective, not patented. All right. And then with respect to needing a high level of flexibility, I totally agree with you, sir. Budgets do need a high level of flexibility, and it's important for you to start small with savings. Ultimately, your goal is to save 20% of your earnings. But if you know you've been in negative, if you know your budget has been in the red, has been negative for so long, then you can't start by saving 20%. Why not start by saving 1%? Over time, you increase this to 5%. Over time, you increase this to 15%. Over time, you get to 20%. So 20% is aspirational. It's not like the moment your next salary comes, you must save 20%, that's what you learned. Yes, it's important, but it's aspirational. You have to start small and then grow gradually. So that's my recommendation, no matter how small. Even if at the very beginning, all you can save is 1,000 naira. 1,000 naira saved is 1,000 naira gained. So start with 1,000 naira in a month, if that's all you can afford to save. And that goes on to the question about low-risk investments. Any money you have access to, situations are going to push you to spend that money. And that's the advantage of low-risk investments. I didn't want to go into this because it wasn't part of the project, and today's focus has been the project. Plus, I am no expert on financial matters, like I said at the very beginning. But the low-risk investments that I personally have used include cooperative, fixed deposits, and treasury bills. And I don't have control over these. Once I've put my money in, there's a time I will collect my money. And I can't just wake up one morning and decide to use the money. So when you have low-risk investments, you put them in a place that you don't have direct control over. And if you decide you want it, there will be a penalty. If you have treasury bills or you have a fixed deposit and you suddenly want to withdraw them, you have a penalty to pay. So you'll be paying the bank, all right, for your rash decision. So that's the advantage of low-risk investments. They're a little bit beyond your reach. And so there's no way you really want them and can get them immediately. And the red tapeism, the delays, and the penalties involved in your having access to them will give you pause and make you think about leaving them alone. So please make sure that when you're saving in a place that you can't touch. I know that in very basic ways, some people used to save with friends and family, but it doesn't seem to work anymore because when you need your money, it's gone. And so the bank is useful. You can have all banks, to the best of my knowledge, allow you to have a separate savings account as a sub-account. So if you have a savings sub-account, you know with discipline that you're not going to touch that savings sub-account. You can have multiple sub-accounts under your account. I know people who have a savings sub-account. Separate from that, they have a car sub-account so that they know that this is above and beyond my savings toward my car. Some people also have a sub-account for their children's education. So they have savings, they have a car sub-account, they have a children's education sub-account. By the time their children reach the level of going for higher education, they don't have any problems. They've already saved a lot of money since this child was in their first year. And so the future of the child is bright because the parents don't even have to worry about how they're going to pay the school fees. So take this from a non-professional, sharing my own personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, a round of applause for our resource person. You will agree with me that she has done justice to all the questions. Thank you very much, ma'am. Before we continue, we have a question here submitted. It says, in one of your slides, you stated sales from clothing shop as an income. Are you referring to profit or proceed from sales from clothing shop or not? Thank you, ma'am.
Great question. I'm sorry I wasn't clear enough. I meant profit. Okay? I meant profit. That's after she has removed the money for her shop, she's removed money for electricity, she's removed whatever other expenses are related to having that shop. Maybe she has a shopkeeper. She's removed the money for that person's salary. After deducting all expenses related to the clothing shop, she still earns, I believe that was 25,000 naira profit.
Thank you, ma'am. We want to acknowledge our online participants. We want to thank you for being there. And I want to particularly recognize Dr. Adifemi Afolabi, Chairman, ASU UI branch. Thank you for being there, sir. Please, let's appreciate all of them. Then we have a question from our online participants. It says, the question is from Adebi Anyoleye Oyagbile. How can the staff plan its budget considering an unexpected emergency after already planned budgets? Thank you, ma'am.
Excellent question. It's nice to include a line item in your expenditure for other or unexpected. And then you need to decide together as a couple whether or not this is something to take care of this month or in a future month. Not all unexpected expenses have to be taken care of immediately. And I strongly recommend that your expenses include health. Please have a line item for your health expenditure because that is one of the most important unexpected expenses. God forbid, but car accidents happen suddenly. People suddenly realize they have an acute illness or they had an underlying chronic illness that suddenly flares up. And so health expenses are very important. But please always have a miscellaneous line, something set aside for the unexpected. The example I gave was just a very simple example because, we just had a 30-minute interaction, but I'm glad that these questions have allowed us to dig deeper. So please always include miscellaneous. Please always include health. And I see this as a need and not a want, and so it should come higher up.
Thank you, ma. Thank you. Round of applause for our resource person again. She has done wonderfully well. I want to speak to the online participants. There is someone that we can only say the name of the phone, Techno J something. Please complete your online profile. You rename your phone and put your name so that when we want to issue certificates, we'll know who we are addressing. We cannot give certificate to just a phone, the name of a phone. Thank you. Now, my own question, I believe this should be the last question, ma'am, is that you have not addressed my issue. And that issue is that men, like me and my friends there, when we are doing our budgets, we did not know how much to put in as our wives' income to support the home. What we know is that they spend money. We acknowledge that they spend so much money. We know that. We don't want to know. To do the budget, we must put an amount. How do we go about this? Our budget, the two of us, our budgets are not complete because of that. Yes. So what do we do? I can budget for myself. In fact, I do my budgets every month. The only thing is that I don't write it down. But I know how much I spend on this. I know how much I spend on that. I know how I spend my money. But I don't know how my wife spends her money. Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that this is of interest to many people. I'd like to take you back to when you were planning to get married. How many people received marriage counseling before you got married? Before you got married? Okay. Thank you. That is something that's largely missing from our society. And that's when you should discuss these issues. Before you get married, you should agree that the two shall become one. And when that means everything, including finances, including salary. The husband no longer has a separate salary. I'm not saying that you must have a joint account. Please don't misunderstand me. That's your own decision, whether or not to have a joint account. But when it comes to transparency and honesty, irrespective of your religion or lack thereof, the two shall become one. The husband and the wife should be honest with each other. They should keep no important secrets from each other. The husband should know how much the wife earns. The wife should know how much the husband earns. And they should be able to talk openly about how their family expenses will go. It's possible the husband earns so much and he says, don't worry, do whatever you want with your money. But not every household is that prosperous. And so you need to have a conversation, and it's not too late. If you have a good relationship, even if you've been married for 3 decades or more, you can still start this conversation. But I assure you, it's not going to be a 5 or a 10-minute conversation if you haven't done it all this while. It's going to take multiple opportunities of engagement to discuss with each other about the relevance of bringing your salaries together so that you can look at your household income. Don't expect it to be an overnight change because you've been married for more than one night. I really highly recommend that all of you encourage your children to have marriage counseling before they get married, because so many marriages could have been saved by these conversations before they tied the knot. By the time you've been together for so long, the man, masculinities and all, in our culture, it's a very patriarchal setting. The man believes he's in charge and he makes decisions. And I wish you had been part of our workshops. It's just that we only had a little time to have our conversation. But this workshop led to many couples coming back to tell us that the first time, the man would say, for the first time in my life, I asked my wife about money and how we should spend our finances. And she did a much better job than I did. And so couples were now discussing about their finances, and men were recognizing the importance of carrying their wife along with respect to household decisions, including financial decisions. So give it a go. Talk to your partner. Have that conversation about the fact that the husband's salary may not be enough for the household expenses, and you need to talk about what the wife's salary is and how this will become part of the household income. It's a conversation between you and your partner. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, I don't know if we have widespread marital counseling. In high-income countries, you can easily book a counseling session and go in for an hour 3 or 4 times a month and have a professional discuss with both of you rather than you just talking to your wife or the wife talking to your husband. But I don't know how readily available that is here. So you need to figure out, hopefully you understand the language of your spouse and you can figure out over time a way to have this conversation. But no two households are the same, so please do not compare yourself with other households. I know that if we ask people to show hands, there are people in this room who already have households where both the husband and the wife bring their money together, all right, and spend the household income as one unit. So please think about how you can talk with your partner if indeed this is important for your household.
Thank you very much, ma. Please, a round of applause for our resource person. Sorry, ma. While you are answering that question, someone raised up his hand as he asked the question. 1 minute, Mr. Gubanjo.
Thank you very much, ma. I've gained a lot today, but something occurred to me. Now, if the partners agree to join their money together, who manages, who commands? This question came just occurred to me because someone some time ago told me that the conflict in the home got so bad that he had to hand over his money to the wife so that when it finishes, then she will know what to do. So who manages this?
Yes, ma'am.
Another excellent question. I'd like to repeat again that I'm not a financial expert, and whatever I tell you is based on my reading and my lived experiences. Who manages the joint income depends on every household. One couple may decide the wife is better with money. Another couple may decide the husband is better with money. Another couple may decide, since they have written down their expenses, they can both manage together and keep each other in check. I once read the story, I don't know if it's true, I read it in a magazine, about a couple where the wife was very suspicious of the husband. The husband gave her everything except what he needed to get to work and buy lunch at work. And yet she was not satisfied. So she went behind the husband's back to report the husband to the husband's boss. And so the boss called the man and said, "This is what your wife said, so I'm going to invite her. I understand your salary, I know how much you earn, and I know what you're giving your wife is reasonable, but I'm going to call her because I don't want to see you having conflict in your home. I can see that you're not giving your best at work like you used to." So he invited the wife. And she came, very angry, very arrogant, and the husband was seated there. She asked the husband, the boss asked the husband, "How much do you earn?" He told the boss, and the wife said, "But he doesn't give me that much." Then he said, "Okay, how much do you spend on transport?" He told him. They were writing it down. "How much do you spend on lunch every day?" He told him. They were writing it down. "Who pays the school fees?" The woman said, "He does." "How much do you pay for school fees?" They wrote it down. "What else do you spend money on that you don't give your wife?" He said, "That's it. Just his transport, his lunch, and school fees." Okay, they totaled it. And then they asked the wife, "All right, how much does he give you? All right, now deduct this amount from what he gives you. How much do you spend on food?" And he went on and asked a series of questions. At the end of the day, the wife discovered that he was walking to work some days because he didn't have enough money. In other words, the amount he was giving to his wife was much more than he should have been giving her if he had deducted the amount for his transportation, his lunch, and school fees every day. Many days the man would not eat at work because he didn't have enough. And the wife started crying because she had been fighting this man. Poor communication can lead to marital conflict. She went there thinking she's the victor. She's going to show this man today, only to be disgraced and disappointed. She got on her knees and started begging the husband and begging the boss and thanking the boss for that revelation. So sometimes all it needs is clear communication between the husband and the wife. And you realize that these things are not as difficult as you're presenting them to be. So, who manages it? It depends on the household, whether it's the man or the woman, or they manage together after they have written these things down.
Thank you very much, ma'am. A big round of applause for our resource person. I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that question. I'm so glad with your answer, ma'am, because that settles everything that I've been thinking about from the beginning of this. Thank you very much. So it is time for the closing remarks by our provost, who is ably represented here by the deputy provost, Professor S.B. Olaolorun. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I've been corrected. Just before the closing remarks by the provost, there is announcement time by the secretary to the college, our own boss, Mr. A. Odedele. A round of applause, man.
Very much. I would have preferred that these announcements are not online for everybody, but it doesn't matter. Whatever we share here, there are no secrets. It will still get to the larger community. I want to again encourage us, participants. There is this saying, much is given, much expected. You can see provost, deputy provost, they are all
all those who have come for this particular program. You agree with me that it's a very, very enriching program, and it goes a long way. We wanted to dovetail into marriage counseling session. And when it touches on the issue of marriage, a lot of things coming. You saw the diverse ideas coming up. I don't want it to be too biased, but women actually know how to plan. They plan. Yorubas call them abanironu. The moment they realize that there's a particular amount of money coming like this, before you spend it, they had already put everything there. Anyway, it's not to their detriment. It's for you to be able to plan well. We pray that all our homes will be good and we will all have good financial health in Jesus' name. So I want to appreciate all of us for coming for this program. If there is nothing that you have taken from this particular lecture, no 50, 30, 20. 50, 30, 20. And it will go a long way in helping our finances. Thank you very much.
A better round of applause for our provost. Thank you very much, sir. We thank you, ma'am, once again, our resource person, and all members of management on the high table, the deputy provost, the secretary to the college, the deans, the medical librarian, everybody that has attended. I want to thank you all. Please, I just want to add this announcement. We are going to take the, before we take the national anthem and close for today, please, after the attempts, please remain standing and allow dignitaries on the table to go out first. After they have gone out, then we can go. And the anthems will be taken in reverse order. So please, let's rise up for the anthems. PCC.
To
Remain standing. Okay, sorry. Photograph first. Please, you can have your seats. We want to take group photograph. Members of the high table. Yes, stand, yes. We stand. We just standing.